Yo, BJ Gaddour with the Daily BJ, and these are my 10 favorite quads exercises. Certainly there are other ways to work your quads. These are my 10 favorite. Hopefully you find at least a couple that you can start working into your routine. And the biggest way I would look at this, a lot of these can be considered non-traditional. I'm not showing any sort of back squatting or barbell-based movements. The only barbell movement I'm showing is actually done with a band bell setup to create more time under tension with lighter loads for less joint stress. So I like the more non-traditional approaches because I've had 4 knee surgeries in the past. By the time I was 22, football injuries, lifting injuries. So over the last, I'm 36 now, over the last 14, 15 years, I've been trying to find ways to build these babies without taking any extra stress on the joints. And a couple key things when knowing to work your quads. They are knee extensors, and also the middle quad is a hip flexor. So the movements that emphasize flexing at the knee and then extending, squatting, lunging are key. And then you also want to find ways to emphasize stretching or lengthening that middle quad and those hip flexors to help get both the mobility benefits but also the muscle gain benefits. So any sort of squatting, lunging is great. My biggest go-to signature lower body movement that has built my legs safely and effectively over the years is the Bulgarian split squat. I also love all sort of front-loaded goblet squatting variations, but here are my top 10. So number 1 is a close or quad stance Bulgarian split squat. So one of the biggest misconceptions in fitness is that it's terrible, like your knee is going to explode if your knee comes forward. Now the reality is the more forward knee positioning I get, the more knee and quad stress I get. So yes, there is more knee stress if your knees and quads are not strong enough or ready for more advanced movements like that. You can take more of a longer stance like this. The traditional Bulgarian split squat is really long and you keep more of a vertical shin, so it's still going to work your quads, but it's going to work more glute. And this is actually an option that's better for those that are dealing with knee issues or have a history of knee pain and aren't ready to build up to the close stand option. But again, you can see I'm driving it more through hip flexion extension than knee extension. What I don't like about this is most people get really hyperextended. It looks great for selfies on Instagram, or belfies as they call them, because look at my ass from the side. Looks like I'm about to take it hard. That's not a good look, all right? So what I like is actually bringing it close for 2 reasons. 1, you can create better core spinal position, pull the ribs and shoulders down, stack the joints like an accordion, and all the movement comes where you want it through the hips and the knee, and then I get more of a forward knee position, which is gonna stress my quads more. All right, the foot still stays flat, and then I'm pushing through. So this is my favorite way to develop the quads. 1 leg at a time, less joint stress, less stress to the back and knees, lighter loads go longer way, and you get amazing quad stress while also stretching the back quad hip flexor. So people overlook on the Bulgarian split squat, they think it's only about the muscle you build in the back leg, but stretching these muscles under load is what really also helps with muscle gain too. In fact, I find one of the strongest features of my quads is my mid quad, the peak. When you look from the side, you're gonna come from the side for a second. See that peak, that middle quad? I believe that I've developed that maximally because I've stretched it as the back leg under load through Bulgarian split squats. So there are certainly gains in the front leg, but don't overlook the benefits of what happens to the back leg beyond crazy mobility benefits for longevity and health. So that's number 1, any sort of close stance Bulgarian split squatting. Another way, we go right next into it. I love that there was research that showed in terms of if you go 1 dumbbell at a time, which arm should you hold it to target certain muscles. If you want to target more quad, inner hip thigh, you hold the weight on the same side as the lead leg. If you want more glutes, which is not the purpose of this video, you'd hold in the opposite hand, what's called contralateral loading. So that's something to consider there. Now, you don't need the band, but my number 2 here is a 1-arm quad focused Bulgarian split squat with an X-band setup. So what the X-band creates is tension at the top of the movement where it's typically easiest. You can just cut the band if you don't want to use it, or you don't look crazy at the gym, but whatever, it's about gains. It ain't about what people think. So I'm locked in, and then what I'm gonna get is extra tension at the top of the movement where it's typically easiest. So I'm holding it on the side of my body that's gonna make my inner hip thigh and lower quad work harder based on the research of muscle activation, and also adding band tension at the top to make it harder where it's typically easiest, and I get that ascending resistance of that band tension, all right? So you can do both, one or the other, just X-band only, kettlebell only, or both for the best of both worlds. That's a great option that way. From there, I love this guy, the extended option. So this is gonna allow you to make the same weight feel harder by just extending the range of motion, all right? So it's force times distance traveled in terms of how hard you're working in each repetition. So you can take the same load and just extend the range of motion, and that's how to make your body weight feel like heavyweight. So beyond getting deeper bending of the hip and knee for more quad glute work. We're also, again, enhancing the stretch for that back hip flexor and quad gains, mobility, all of it together. In addition, I love using what's called the sand dune stepper. It's like bringing the beach to your home. It has a sand environment which increases muscle activation and joint stabilization all over your body. So really in particular, your lower quads, which are very important as knee stabilizer. Your outer quad vastus lataris tends to dominate and can actually track your patella outward. So the more we get this baby firing as a stabilizer, especially for longer time under tensions. I love doing this for like sets of 1 to 2 minutes at a time, where I'll go here and I'll go slow down, pause, just trying to track that knee over the foot, come up slow, and I would just go for 2 straight minutes with my body weight. Oh yeah, stretching, lengthening, strengthening, stabilizing. And I also sometimes use this as a warm-up for 10 to 20 reps in each leg before I start loading up. So I'll warm up unstable, fire all my activators or stabilizers up, and mobilize, activate, and then I'll go on the floor with weight, and I feel so much smoother, stronger, and more stable. So that's another great option as well, extending the range of motion. And the beauty of this stuff too is as I'm showing you these options, you could add weight and extend. You can start combining and basically mixing and matching these for a lot of fun. So here's the only barbell option I'm going to show besides the landmine as the final movement. It's called the band bell setup. You take any sort of band tension, you can wrap on any barbell, PVC pipe that's really thick and sturdy, and you can anchor weights, dumbbells, plates, kettlebells, whatever you want, and it's creating what's called an oscillation effect. This oscillation is going to turbocharge all joint stabilization across your entire body, core, hips, and also really working on, so the knees are going to want to go in and out like this. We never want it to cave in particular, and we're just working to fight to track that knee right over the ankle and foot. So it doesn't take a lot of weight with this. Again, I like doing 1 to 2 minute sets on these, nice and slow and control. And because of the stabilization effects, so many people do their reps so fast. If you're trying to gain muscle, we're talking about quad gains, not strength necessarily gains. We want to do longer time under tension sets, typically 30 to 60 seconds minimum, upwards of 1 to 2+ minutes in extreme protocols. And this slows down each rep. So typically a rep might take 3 seconds. It's going to take double the time in most cases with this stabilization effect, because you have to work hard to control it as you come down. You lower, you want to pause it and hold it. So I would do just like that, loading it up. I can hold it on my back as a back squat. I could also do a front squat setup, but I like more of the back squat setup for this because it's already hard enough as it is with the stabilization demands, and the front of your body would just be a lot. But again, awesome way to get working on, you know, a traditional barbell movement with so much less joint stress, back, knee stress, and you'll feel your legs just blow up from this. So good for joint health. Next movement, we've got so many goblet squats plus double expand. So I'm gonna show you this quickly, the double expand setup. Again, you don't need to do the expand, but again, another way to create tension at the top of the movement, to really work your knee extensions, particularly the terminal knee extension. It's not bad to lock out your joints, by the way. It's bad to hyperextend them. It's not bad to fully straighten them. If you jump or sprint, try doing it without fully extending your joints. It's impossible. It's the dumbest thing anyone's ever said. I want to just take the person who said that and just castrate or sterilize them so they don't proliferate the idiocy to next generations, all right? So I'm locked in, and this double expand allows me, first of all, to look like a total chode in a gym setting, again, but I'm just telling you, it's like one of those things. These work. These bands are excellent. Top trainers, strength coaches, pro athletes, performance athletes do this stuff all the time. So front-loaded squatting allows you to stay more upright. It's a goblet handle position with a dumbbell or kettlebell. I'm just gonna sit tall, spread my hips, and as I come back up, I've got to accelerate through the band tension and the dead weight. So it's just dead weight at the bottom, it's dead weight and band tension at the top, and you only go as low as you can. Maintain a nice neutral spine without rounding your low back, or what they call butt winking, which is dumping and letting that tailbone round out. Usually parallel thigh or hip crease just beneath knee crease is ideal for most people. You have to come a little bit higher, that's fine too. So that is a goblet squat with the option of adding the expand setup. You could also just go expand only, goblet squat only, or again, combine them. So we got next one, band resisted forward lunges. Love these. So I'm gonna get locked in here. So forward lunges are the lunge variation that works your quads the most, because you have to decelerate with your quads and then push back through the toes. You can actually create a horizontal vector, horizontal driver with band tension anchored to a power rack, tree, pole, fence, whatever you have access to. And I can even hold dumbbells if I want on the sides but I step back, create the tension, and all I'd be doing is stepping forward and then driving back fast through. Step, push. So I work fast twitch fibers here, deceleration, great for agility, change of direction sports, court sports, field sports, and hammers the quads in an amazing way. So I can add weights to that, I can just go body weight. I like to do sometimes metabolic protocols, 40 on, 20 off, switching legs each set, max reps. Another favorite is band sissy squats. So I take this guy, hurry! YouTube has a 15-minute time limit. I'm doing the best I can. So I get locked in. So this is beautiful because we create terminal knee extension at the top. So the quads actually almost like a leg extension at the top, have to work hard against that band tension, but I get the sissy squat benefit where I can really sit back and tall and keep a vertical trunk, especially if you're taller and bigger, longer thigh bones, longer femurs. I recommend holding some weight in front for counterbalance, and I would just sit deep until typically the elbows touch the knees, close stance, toes forward, and I squeeze my quads hard through the top of the movement. Ooh, you can taste the gains! All right, so that's another one of my favorites. That's also excellent pre-workout. If you have trouble activating your quads, VMOs, vastus medialis, lower teardrop muscles, it helps a ton. Heels elevated squats. So with body weight, whatever, you can elevate with weight plates off of a box bench step, curb, but elevating the heels does a couple things. One, if you have hip or ankle mobility issues, it allows you to squat taller, deeper, and then it also puts more stress onto the quads. But yes, also onto the knees. So you'd always want to start these more toe-focused, knee-driving movements, body weight first, slower tempo, longer duration, higher rep. Build the joint stability and fortification first before you start going crazy and seeing people doing like crazy sissy squats with barbells. That stuff takes years, decades to build up to. So all I would do, and this is my favorite protocol, is I would come down and I'm just gonna stay constant tension in the bottom. I'm driving, I'm really actually trying to dig my toes and gripping the floor with my toes as I'm using my quads to press up and down. You're letting the knees come forward. You're trying to get more quad stress here, all right? And just pump them up. And these are great for sets of 1 to 2 minutes in this kind of pumping, constant tension, bodybuilding format. So there does make sense sometimes when you don't want to lock out. If you want to keep more constant tension, create more metabolic stress, pump and burn, you would stop short of lockout and just stay in that more pulsing position. But again, you want to do both. The gold standard is full range of motion, coming all the way up and down. Final 2 movements. Assisted, self-assisted single leg squat, holding onto a power rack, pole, door frame. My favorite body weight training device from gymnastics rings is called the AirFit from Pure Motion. And all I'm going to do here is there's a couple options. You start with your arms about 90-degree angle, so you can have as much assistance as needed with the upper body. And the more skater single leg squat option is that back knee is going to touch. So it doesn't require as much hamstring flexibility or hip strength as having the leg in front in more of that pistol shape. But this is a great way to access a single leg squat. You assist as much as you need and you progress by using less and less upper body assistance. But it's one of those drills where I find if you don't have any sort of assistance, there's so much instability, people rarely can actually string reps together without having to stop, and this gets frustrating. So a little bit of balance allows you to get more strength benefits. You're still working balance and stability. Don't forget that. And then you've got the other option, which is the true kind of single leg squat. You can stop at that parallel thigh position, just like this. If you have knee issues, if you can go all the way down without pain, you go like that. And you see how it almost kind of modulates my depth properly, because at the bottom, my arms are fully straight, all right? So that is single leg squat. Final movement. This is like my favorite, hack squats. Hurry! Hurry! Okay, so hack squats are my favorite. Landmine hack squats with a wishbone attachment, putting on top of the barbell. I just come out like this, all right? And now instead of spending like $5,000 to $10,000 on a hack squat machine, I just buy this attachment, set up that barbell landmine in the corner of the wall or a landmine post, and now I get that backward traction resistance to really hammer my quads, particularly my lower quads. Very easy on the spine, in the knees, and these are my 10 favorite ways to go from Godzilla to Quadzilla. Bye.